The man with no money is not the poorest man. The man with no purpose is. You were taught to chase coins, but never trained to govern thoughts. They taught you the price of everything and the value of nothing. They told you to work harder, stay longer, sacrifice more. But no one told you the truth. Wealth begins and ends in the mind. The world will applaud your labor and ignore your thoughts. It will celebrate your exhaustion and mock your imagination. But I say this to you now, with no hesitation, no apology. Your mind is the first bank, and the interest it pays depends entirely on what you deposit into it daily. You are not broke because you lack money. You are broke because you were never shown how to think like a sovereign. You were taught to survive, not to reign, to follow, not to lead, to obey the visible, while the invisible built empires without your permission. Let the world argue. Let them debate over wages and luck. Let them chase lottery tickets while you do the one thing most men fear: you will rise within. For every external gain begins with an internal conquest. You want to build wealth? Then understand this: you don't earn wealth, you become it. Let us begin with the only real capital that matters: thought. You have been conditioned to believe wealth is a number, a balance in a bank, a valuation on paper. But wealth is first the ability to command your own mind in the face of fear, fatigue, and failure, and to proceed anyway. You think Andrew Carnegie became one of the richest men in history by circumstance? Number. He started in poverty, a Scottish immigrant boy with nothing but vision. He had no formal education, no family name. What he had was fire, not in the world, but in his thoughts. He mastered what the world could not see, and the world bowed to what he built. Let me say this plainly. Until you change the way you think, no amount of work will produce wealth, because your results will always betray the quality of your inner world. And if you want a new reality, you must take full, brutal ownership of your inner government. You must govern your mind like a state. No trespassing thoughts allowed, no limiting beliefs seated at your table, no emotional squatter living rent-free inside your mental estate. The man who refuses to inspect his thoughts is like the man who refuses to clean his house and wonders why he lives in filth. Now let me warn you, this war is not romantic. This campaign is not gentle. Mental wealth demands mental warfare. Each day you must wake with one mission: to guard your mind like it is the only thing you own, because it is. Discipline your intake. You consume doubt, you produce scarcity. You consume noise, you manifest confusion. You consume excuses, you walk in circles. You want wealth? Then do what no one else will do. Audit your mental diet. Control your thought economy. Protect your internal borders. No nation rises without controlling what enters its gates. Why should your mind be any different? Do you remember what Napoleon Bonaparte once said? The battlefield is the mind of the enemy. He wasn't only speaking of war, he was speaking of victory, and how every throne begins with thought. If you let the world control your inputs, they will control your outcomes. If you let fear rent space in your head, it will soon own the deed to your future. And I will tell you now, wealth is allergic to hesitation. It will not wait for you to feel ready. It will not coddle you. It will not slow down to meet you. It rewards the man who leads with conviction, not confusion. What you believe about yourself is the limit of your fortune. You will not build beyond what your thoughts can bear. So stretch them. Elevate them, sharpen them. Let your thinking be clean. Let your vision be dangerous. Let your resolve be thicker than steel. And if the world calls it arrogance, let them call it. If they mock your clarity, let them mock. You are not here to explain. You are here to execute. Now stop asking if you're worthy. You are. Not because of birth, not because of luck, but because you are a thinker who chooses to think differently. And that alone is the birthplace of wealth. They told you to be realistic. They said to stay safe, to lower your expectations, to settle for stability over vision. And you listened for a while. You folded your dreams to fit inside their fear. You shrank your vision to fit their comfort. You traded your inner fire for outer approval. But something inside you has always known. You were not born to kneel in front of the average. And I will tell you why. because you have already tasted the pain of regret, and it is more bitter than the pain of discipline. Let this be the moment you stop asking for permission. Let this be the hour you reclaim your birthright, the authority to direct your own mind. You think freedom is a number? You think wealth is a destination? Freedom is inner dominance. Wealth is inner command. The man who owns his thoughts will never be a slave to the world. But here's the truth that carves through all noise. There is no breakthrough without pressure. If you are waiting for comfort, you are waiting for decay. Comfort is the graveyard of kings, the womb of mediocrity. Greatness doesn't appear at your convenience. It arrives as resistance. It arrives as hardship, as silence, as isolation. It arrives when you are ready to climb without applause. Look around. Most people are not poor. They are mentally pampered. They have never endured the fire long enough to let it purify their mind. They quit at the first sign of delay. They retreat when the results don't appear by Friday. They abandon the throne because the road had thorns. But let me tell you this, the path to wealth is not paved with comfort. It is carved through storms by those who keep walking when the sky turns black. Look at Thomas Edison, the man who failed over 1,000 times to invent the electric light. Do you think he saw failure? He saw discovery, he saw refinement, he saw data. Each failure carved away the wrong until only the right remained. That is how the wealthy think. They do not fear failure. They harvest it. Now look at yourself. Look at what you've survived. You're still here. You've been knocked down, but not knocked out. You've lost time, lost people, lost battles, but you have not lost your will. And that will is more valuable than any stock, bond, or currency. It is the will to persist when doubt screams louder than faith. It is the will to act when every voice says, wait. It is the will to stay focused while the world celebrates distraction. You see, wealth is not money. Money is the byproduct. Wealth is alignment. Wealth is internal government. Wealth is earned first in the chamber of thought, then in the chamber of action. And most men will never enter either, because both require sacrifice. Sacrifice of comfort, sacrifice of ease, sacrifice of the false security that keeps you broke. But hear me when I say this. The world is not waiting for you. It is testing you. Every delay is a test. Every rejection is a test. Every closed door, every overlooked idea, every ignored moment is a test of your mental spine. And the question is always the same. Will you build or will you break? Henry Ford was told by the banking elite that his idea for a motor car was foolish. They called him a dreamer, a mechanic with delusions of grandeur. And do you know what he did? He didn't write back. He didn't explain. He built. He didn't beg for funding. He engineered value. He didn't argue his worth. He proved it with production. The world does not respond to begging. It responds to boldness. And boldness, my friend, is not loud. It is clear. It is the quiet, unwavering conviction that your vision is real before anyone else sees it. You want to attract opportunity? Stop waiting to be chosen and choose yourself. Walk with the posture of a man who has seen the future and believes in it so deeply that he bends reality to his will. That's what Carnegie did. He didn't grow up with wealth. He didn't inherit power. He created both by becoming so valuable that society had no choice but to reward him. And value is not found in trend. Value is found in discipline. You can post, you can speak, you can brand. But if you are not building yourself in silence, none of it will last. Discipline is lonely. Discipline is unnoticed. Discipline is the staircase everyone ignores until the man who climbed it appears at the top. And when they ask how you got there, you will say what every true builder says: I made up my mind. You see, it's not your habits that are broken, it's your identity. You still think like a worker. You must begin to think like a commander. The man who is ruled by impulse cannot hold wealth. The man who is swayed by emotion cannot lead. And the man who is owned by the opinions of others will never own his own time. So rise now, not in noise, but in precision. Rise with your jaw clenched and your vision clear. Rise like a man who remembers the cost of staying small. Because if you don't rise, you'll rot. And if you don't evolve, you'll erode. And the world will go on, rewarding those who dared to dominate their thoughts. Your future is not in your goals, it's in your rituals. And your rituals are determined by one thing only: how deeply you believe you deserve to win. The man who trains his mind daily is already wealthy, even if no one sees it yet. He doesn't look rich. He doesn't need to. Because soon the world will wear what he imagined. The world will use what he envisioned. The world will repeat what he once whispered to himself in secret. That is the true wealth. And it begins where all true battles begin, in the mind. You say you want to be free, but what do you mean by freedom? Is it the absence of work, the absence of a boss, the ability to choose your own hours, your own projects, your own pace? That's not freedom. Freedom is mastery. Freedom is command. Freedom is becoming the kind of person who no longer asks the world for approval, time, or value, because he generates those things himself. The most powerful man in any room is not the one with the biggest following. It is the one with the deepest self-trust. And self-trust is built, not inherited, forged, not bought. It is the residue of 1,000 private victories, the kind the world never claps for. Theodore Roosevelt knew this. Before he conquered nations, he conquered his own weakness. As a sickly child told he would never be strong, he did not curse his body. He trained it, hour after hour, day after day, in silence, in solitude. He transformed fragility into fearlessness, because he believed this: no man may lead until he has first led himself. And you must decide the same. No matter what you want, wealth, power, freedom, peace. It all begins at the seat of your own internal government. Your mind is the court. Your thoughts are the laws. Your discipline is the enforcer.
But listen to me carefully. The world will not reward you for what you intend. It will only reward you for what you execute. You've read books, you've watched speeches, you've journaled your plans, you've imagined your dream life, and yet you hesitate, you delay, you look for the right time. Let me tell you something. There is no right time. There is only your time, and your time begins the moment you decide to stop flirting with greatness and marry the process. You want a six-figure mindset? Train like it, speak like it, and invest like it. Read like it, walk like it, and because your body follows your beliefs, and your results follow your rituals. The man who acts like he is already valuable will soon be. Why? Because confidence in motion creates magnetism. And magnetism pulls opportunity, resources, and results toward it like steel to fire. Do not misunderstand me. This is not about faking it. This is about becoming so internally aligned that faking it becomes unnecessary. You are not playing a role. You are remembering your design, because you were born to build, to shape, to speak worlds into being with thought and discipline. You were born to conquer territory with your ideas and guard that territory with your persistence. But somewhere along the way, you stopped believing that. You handed your belief to systems, to schools, to jobs, to economies, to statistics. They taught you to obey outcomes, to serve limits, to pray to probability. But now you know better. Now you know that all wealth is a reflection of inner strength. And inner strength is a skill, not a gift. You don't need new inspiration. You need implementation. You need immersion. You need to put yourself so deep inside the process that failure becomes absurd. Imagine a man digging for gold. Every day, 1 foot deeper, sweat-soaked, blistered, uncelebrated. He goes months without finding anything. He hears the whispers, "You're wasting time. It's not meant for you. Why don't you quit?" But he does not stop, because he knows something they don't. Gold is not found by those who dip their toes. It is found by those who tear into the earth like it owes them treasure. And when he finally hits it, when that pickaxe strikes the vein, everything changes. Not just his life, but the lives of those who doubted him. Because success speaks in a language that silence cannot argue with. That's how you must move now, like the gold is just beneath your feet. Like you're one hit away, like you're too far in to turn back. And even if you're not, walk like you are. Because here is the secret that separates the master from the mediocre. The master acts like he already possesses the outcome, not to impress the world, but to stay in rhythm with the man he's becoming. Let me give you something no book will tell you. There will be days where you feel like a fraud, where your bank account doesn't match your belief, where your environment mocks your vision, where the results are silent and the work is loud. Good. That's the friction that forges champions. That's the darkness that teaches your light to shine on command. You were never meant to build this thing with ease. You were meant to build it with conviction, because conviction cannot be copied. It cannot be faked. It must be earned through nights of silence, mornings of discipline, and days of forward motion. And if you can do that, if you can master the art of moving forward regardless, there is not a force on this earth that can deny you. The economy won't matter. The trends won't matter. The opinions won't matter, because results bow to the man who builds when it's hard, believes when it's quiet, and shows up when no one's watching. So I ask you now, not as a poet, not as a philosopher, but as a builder, what are you waiting for? Permission? You already have it. Resources? You already are one. Confidence? You earn it with every action. Clarity? It comes from motion, not contemplation. Stop negotiating with your limitations. Stop waiting for conditions to align. You are the condition. You are the plan. You are the asset. And when you begin to treat your mind like the vault it is, when you fill it with strategy, belief, vision, and precision, when you stop reacting and start reigning, you will never beg for wealth again. You will build it. This is where men separate. This is where the game ends for some and begins for others, because most people will not make it here. They will stop at the noise, at the resistance, at the first door that does not open with a whisper, but you kept walking. And now you stand at the edge of something no one can give you, and no one can take away. Mental sovereignty, the rarest currency, the greatest wealth, the power to direct your own thoughts, shape your destiny, and rise on command, no matter what the world hands you. But don't misunderstand, this moment is not a reward. It is not the finish line. It is a reckoning, a call to choose. Will you use what you've learned, or return to who you were? Let me speak to you plainly. You can have the vision. You can have the discipline. You can even have the results. But if you forget this one truth, you will lose it all. Wealth without internal authority is a house without foundation. The men who keep what they earn are not lucky. They are rooted. They are fortified. They are not swayed by seasons, comments, politics, critics, or applause. They are ruled only by one thing: the voice they obey in silence. And that voice must be yours, not your mentors, not your industries, not your competitions, yours. Because all wealth is temporary if your mind is still on lease. You cannot lead yourself with a rented mindset. You cannot create legacies on borrowed confidence. You cannot command abundance while bowing to fear. The world belongs to those who take the throne in their own skulls, who choose thought over impulse, discipline over emotion, vision over validation. And when they do, when they really do, they become untouchable. Not because they're perfect, but because they've trained their spirit to walk unshaken through the fire. Let me remind you of someone who knew this well. Helen Keller, born without sight or sound, yet she became one of the clearest voices of her generation. How? Not by waiting for miracles, but by choosing her mind over her condition. She could not see the world, but she could see herself, victorious, capable, relevant. And because she believed that, the world believed it too. You want people to respect you, to follow you, to buy from you, to build with you? Then show them a man who respects himself when no one's watching, who follows through when no one's cheering, who creates when no one's clapping, who builds when everyone else is waiting. That kind of power and that kind of internal gravity is wealth. Not the kind that sits in an account, but the kind that sits in your chest and makes you walk into rooms like you belong there because you do. That kind of presence is not given. It is built. in early mornings, in quiet decisions, in sacrifices no one sees. The men you admire and the ones whose names outlive their breath all shared one thing in common. They ruled from within. Abraham Lincoln ruled from within. He was mocked, underestimated, broken, but he kept returning to his mind, to principle, to purpose. And that made him unbreakable. Benjamin Franklin ruled from within. He educated himself. He printed his own words. He practiced his values in public and in private, and that consistency turned into legacy. Andrew Carnegie ruled from within. He saw steel before the world valued it, and he turned imagination into empire, not with noise, but with focus. And what do you think separates you from them? Nothing but decision, not potential, not ability, not talent. Decision. The decision to wake up and choose the higher thought, the harder path, the cleaner aim, the longer game. The decision to stop compromising your mind for comfort, to stop leaking your time to distraction, to stop trading your crown for crumbs. Let this be the moment you choose again, and choose correctly. Because here's the truth you cannot unlearn. You are not your bank account. You are not your followers. You are not your degree. You are not your last win or your last loss. You are who you decide to be next. And if that next version of you chooses to rise, to build, to direct, to discipline, to dominate, then nothing can stop you. Not circumstance, not delay, not rejection, not doubt, not time, because time bows to direction. And direction belongs to those who refuse to wander. You want to be paid like a king? Then think like one, act like one, sacrifice like one. Because the man who sacrifices nothing earns nothing. But the man who sacrifices distraction earns clarity. The man who sacrifices comfort earns strength. The man who sacrifices temporary pleasure earns permanent power. That's the formula. That's the ancient law. That's the covenant every true wealth builder has obeyed. And now it's yours. No, this will not be easy. Yes, it will be worth it. Because soon, if you do what most will not, you'll be living in a reality you once imagined. A home built from a thought. A legacy carved from invisible belief. And the same world that once ignored you will come asking how you did it. You won't need to explain. They'll feel it in how you move. They'll hear it in your tone, and they'll see it in your presence. Because you built it the only way anything real is built, from within. So rise. Command your thoughts like a general on the front line. Reject the whispers of weakness. Silence the distractions. And wage war. Not on the world, but on the parts of you that would rather stay small. Because the truth is, you don't need to find wealth. You need to remember that you are the source of it. Build your mind, and your world will follow.